We are back with another live episode of Bully Ball on the Gold Standard Podcast Network. I'm Jason Aponte, joined as always by Steph Sanchez. Steph, before we get into the San Francisco 49ers going back to the NFC Championship game, I have to tell you guys about Community Tree LLC. Tree trimming, land clearing, hazard tree free, removal, home fire hardening, and debris removal from the Central Coast up to the Bay Area. Estimates are free. Call 831-763-2391. Email estimating at cts831.com or visit their website at communitytree.com to schedule an appointment. Mention you're a 49ers fan to receive a $200 discount on your quote. Mention that you're a Seahawks, Cowboys, or Eagles fan to receive a $200 increase to your quote. Community Tree Service is licensed by the California State License Board, license number 1100816. Steph, it's Stephanie. This is
What? I'm
this
not
is
Italian. Why?
It
What?
doesn't
What's with
matter.
the?
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. Does not matter. Okay.
Okay.
This is the sign for like chef's kiss.
We're about to cook. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes,
first of
chef.
all, the vibes. The vibes. How are the
Immaculate.
vibes?
Immaculate.
Okay. This week has been this week is going to be filled with interesting takes the entire time, right? And
Oh yeah.
they're going to range from we knew they're not like that. I've got way different takes than that. But I want to start with you. The San Francisco 49ers find a way to win this game. I've watched this game 3 times, Steph. I don't have a firm grasp on how it happened, but it did happen. What are your thoughts, Steph?
Well, what was kind of interesting is like it feels like the last 2 times the 49ers have played the Packers in the playoffs that they probably shouldn't have won the game, right? Like in different ways. Last time it was a snow game, very defense heavy, and kind of a miracle play at the end there by Jordan Willis is what gave the 49ers the win. This time, rain. The 49ers came out, maybe you can say rusty, I don't know, but I think rain did play a role in that as well. So dealing with the double R's, rust and rain. And I just felt like at some points watching this game, and I don't know if you felt the same way, Jay, I was mentally preparing myself for the 49ers to lose. Like I was already getting my talking points ready for this week of shows. I was already thinking to myself, damn, like we really made fun of the Eagles and Cowboys last week and we're about to join them. All those thoughts went through my head watching this, and but at the same time it was still a close game. And the 49ers had a chance and they took it. They took that chance, and that's really what this game came down to. Which quarterback really was going to put the team on their back and get the win for their team. And we know what transpired. So I know we're going to talk about it, but yeah, some interesting stats from this game that we could definitely look at.
Yeah, and I think just because we believe the 49ers are the best team in the NFC, and I still believe that to this day, doesn't mean that the fashion that they won should deter you from thinking that, right? And I can go through basically every NFL champion and say, well, that was the game they probably should have lost. It happens all the time. For me, it's about surviving and advancing, right? I hate to be the guy to bring this up, but the New York Giants got 10 points off of 2 Kyle Williams fumbles, and they headed on to the Super Bowl. Do you think that they sat there and said, "Oh, well, I don't know, we shouldn't be here." Who cares? Who cares how you win? This isn't college football. But I wanted to I wanted to start cooking at least a little bit, just a little. Let's start here.
Okay. Yeah. Let it simmer.
The national media, critics, pundits, everyone wanted to see the San Francisco 49ers win a game that they were behind. They wanted Kyle Shanahan to win a game that he was down. They keep moving the goalposts, 5, 7, 8, 8 points, whatever it is. Yeah. I want to see Brock Purdy win a game when he has the ball in his hands at the end of the game, when it's on him. Check, check, check. So now that has happened, now it's somehow a bad thing? Isn't that what you wanted to see from everybody. Doesn't matter how ugly it was early, how scary it was. Because I'm with you, Steph. When Aaron Jones runs off for 50 yards, I'm like, all right, well, start preparing the eulogy. Um, thank God, kickers are awful. It's another win for me, by the way, and it's Carlson. Thank you. But you wanted to see all these things from the 49ers, and then you get it. And then now it's a problem. I want to say something else, too. Come around, folks. Let me regale you with the tale of the 1981 NFC Championship game. Joseph Montana throws a pass to Dallas Clark on the last drive to win. But you know what's funny and what people forget? Joe Montana threw 3 interceptions and fumbled the football once. Doesn't sound like to me like he was having a flawless game. But when he had to have it, he had to have it. Tom Brady has made a career early on when he was with the New England Patriots of having okay games and then getting the ball at the end and finishing the job. So why on earth should I now sit here and be worried about something that everybody wanted to see and the team's moving on? Improbable victories happen all the time in the playoffs, especially for teams that end up winning the whole thing. You probably need one or two of them if you even want to, be in that conversation. I'm not going to sit here and be worried now. It's ridiculous. It's not going to rain Sunday. The 49ers defense is not going to be falling all over the field. It sounds like Debo Samuel is going to play. I just don't understand this one, Steph. None of it makes sense to me.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that all of these media pundits wanted to see the
I'm sorry.
49ers do this and
Dwight
do
Clark.
that. Yeah, yeah.
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 Dwight Clark. I know. I don't know why I keep saying Dallas. I guess Iowa State, Iowa, tight end, you, all that stuff. Yeah.
And so the truth is, no one, all those guys that say, well, they got to do this, they got to do that. The truth is, they don't want to see the 49ers win, period, because that would fit their narrative. And they don't think that Brock Purdy can do it under those circumstances. That's why they keep moving the goalposts. Do it without all these superstars. He did it without Debo. Do it in the rain. He did it in the rain. Do it when things don't go perfectly. I would say that game was far from perfect.
Oh yeah.
Show me how you can come back from behind. He did it. And by the way, this is the second time he's done it. He already did it against the Cleveland Browns, which was also one of his worst graded games by PFF, as well as the Packers game on Saturday. Both times led the 49ers to game-winning drives. Last time, it was up to the kicker, though. That didn't work out. This time, thankfully, CMC able to get in for the score. But Brock Purdy on that final drive was, 5 of 7, 40-something yards. And I don't care how much his
he missed
depth of
once. No, he
once,
missed
okay.
once. The George Kittle.
And
The
that
George
was the
Kittle
George
drop.
Kittle. That was a drop.
Yeah.
That was a straight up drop.
Yeah.
So besides that,
Yeah.
he was perfect. And I don't care what his depth of target was. Like I don't give a fuck. I am sorry, Rob, for swearing. But I don't care. And no one's talking about Jordan Love's mistakes. For Love, it's like they never thought he'd be here. He's so young. He's still learning. First year as a starter. And you know what? That's fair for Jordan Love because all those things are true. But why doesn't Brock Purdy get that same energy? It should be the same energy for Brock. That's where he was last season. He's still very young. And yet he gets compared to these ridiculous standards. The right takeaway on Brock on Saturday is that he did play a poor game. He was missing open guys. The rain did impact him on some throws. Nobody is saying ignore that. Like, it happened. It's the truth. But when the team needed him most and they needed him to be who he is, he was that. And they won the game because of it. That's also true. Both things can be true, and they are. And we can acknowledge both. I don't know why that's so hard for people. And I don't know why we got to move the goalposts for Brock Purdy. Oh, well, okay, well, he came back from behind, but I wasn't impressed because it wasn't by 10 or more points. What are we even doing here? Who gives a fuck? I'm sorry. Who gives a fuck? He won this game. It's a playoff fucking game. Like, I don't understand. All Brock Purdy does is play football, and like he doesn't talk and he doesn't respond to any of this, and he doesn't deserve like what's happening in the media. Like it really doesn't make any sense to me. And if you look at both quarterbacks in the fourth quarter, Jordan Love was 5 of 7 in the fourth quarter, 19 yards, interception. Brock Purdy, 8 of 12, 68 yards. Didn't turn the ball over once in this game, by the way. And he answered a lot of questions for us fans that I think, we hadn't really had answered throughout the regular season. So yeah, even despite it being a bad game for Brock as a whole, he did what he needed to do at the end. And that's all you can ask for from a quarterback in the playoffs. He's
Yep.
The 49ers are going to the NFC Championship game. I have never seen like so much disrespect towards Brock Purdy after a quarterback like gets a game-winning drive for the team. Like I've never seen anything like this. And I don't know why. Like it's just Brock Purdy. I don't understand. But yeah, I'm standing on business this morning,
Oh
and
yeah.
I had some things to get off my chest. But I'm gonna
Mhm.
let you cook, Jay. I know you got more.
Yeah, look, I mean, that's why I send out sarcastic tweets all the time. I, for one, can't give Brock Purdy any credit until he beats the 85 Bears on Mars. Because you never can just say like the Keyshawn Johnson thing. Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's not really a comeback because you kicked the field goal and then it was 4. What the fuck are you talking about, dog? Has CTE gotten you too? Like, are you insane? Like, it's insane. Like, Richard Sherman's face said it all in that segment. But I also did want to say something else too about paying attention to the national media. It's the same thing that I said about this certain person that everyone looks to for his Brock Purdy analysis. For some reason, I wouldn't look to him for football analysis at all, and I'm talking about Nick Wright. I don't ask White Castle chefs for their advice on putting up gourmet meals. So stop worrying about what Nick Wright has to say. It's all entertainment. If you're watching it, you're not watching it to be informed. You're watching it to watch two idiots at a bar argue with each other, right? While they're drinking, right? Like, it's not because you want to be informed. It's not because you're going to learn anything. You're not going to learn a damn thing. In fact, you're probably going to lose brain cells. So we have to stop paying attention to that stuff too.
Yeah.
But in terms of everything that you wanted to see, you've seen it all at this point. You've seen everything that they wanted to do. Battle tested. They've got to win this game. Can they win in the rain? Can they win without Debo? Can they win without with Kyle behind? All these parameters, all these things, and then they did it. And now you're worried now. The world needs Steph's rant as Nick Bosa. That's pretty good actually, but you still can acknowledge that there were many throws that
I
weren't
think that would
like
take a
they
while.
they should have been hit. Yeah, that's true. The throws were there. You missed the throws, fine. But like Steph said, you have to objectively look at this game and say, well, when the chips were down and he had a chance, right? I mean, let's look at this. Jordan Love. Everyone thinks that Jordan Love played better than Brock Purdy. Did he? Did he? One guy didn't turn the ball over. And I've seen that story before with the 49ers and the quarterback, right? The game's starting to get out of hand. It's starting to move in a direction where you're nervous. And I hate to do this to Jimmy Garoppolo, but if that was Jimmy Garoppolo, there's probably no way that they'd find a way to win that game. Probably no way. And I watched Dak Prescott the week before get avalanched in the same way and couldn't get his team back in there. But Dak's the MVP, right? Dak is the MVP conversation. I don't know if Brock can be. I watched that game happen to other quarterbacks, and I watched how it goes, and it doesn't end the way that it ended on Saturday, and it did. Again, survive, advance. I don't care. In fact, I am more encouraged now that the 49ers played their worst game possible and still found a way to win. Because regardless of whatever happens on Sunday, which, spoiler alert, I'm picking the 49ers to beat the Detroit Lions. It can't be worse than that. There's no way they play like that again. They won't be falling all over the field. There won't be these blown coverages, all that stuff. So I'm done. I'm done with the negativity. Like, I don't understand how people can get negative about a game that was literally a game you shouldn't have won. That doesn't translate to the next game. If the 49ers go out there and they blast the Detroit Lions, does that make it any less of a divisional win because they barely won? It doesn't make any sense, man. There's things that the Niners need to clean up, particularly offensive line, coverage busts, some of those throws. Again, how much of that has to do with the fact that it was raining? We know all that. But I'm willing to bet whatever little money I have in my account that the 49ers are not going to play that poorly again on Sunday. And that's something that you should be encouraged by, not discouraged by.
Yeah. I mean, I think it really depends how you look at this game and what perspective you have on it. I've seen some fans mention, like, now I'm a little more nervous about, this game coming up against the Lions because of how they played against the Packers. But yeah, I think that is the takeaway that people should have, that they could play one of their worst games and still come away with the win. Now, you can't do that 2 weeks in a row. You can't advance and, maybe get a little lucky and think that you're going to get away with it a second time, right? Especially not in the playoffs. So I think they know that. I think it was good for the team to kind of see that they can do it as well, for all of us to see that they can do it. And yeah, a lot of those factors that played a role in it on Saturday, like the rain, Debo being out, they might not have to deal with those, on Sunday. Right now it's looking pretty sunny, favorable weather for the 49ers. And like you said, I think Debo probably leaning towards playing. I know the latest report was he is like 50-50 for Sunday, but it's the playoffs, man. It's like, Debo, you got to go out there, my guy. But yeah, I mean, I think they know they can't do that again. And I think without the rain, we saw a lot of guys slipping and things like that. We saw Brock Purdy, be inaccurate a little bit, maybe even hesitant at times. Maybe that had to do a little bit with the rust, but I think also it had to do with the rain and not trusting, his grip on the ball. I'm not sure. He literally like wiped his hand at one point before making a throw. So all those things aren't going to play a role on Sunday. So I would expect a bigger day for Brock Purdy and this defense as well on Sunday. They're going to come with it.
Yeah. But let's talk about some other things. Kyle Shanahan does bust a narrative here. Even though I don't know why people forget that his team in week 18, went and came back against the Los Angeles Rams. But I guess that's where that tricky number comes in. Were they down 6? Were they down 7? Well, let's just start it here at 7.
Mhm.
Fun fact, a lot of coaches, when you're down to double digits, usually lose. And please do not cite the less than 10 times that it's actually happened. If you're down double digits in the playoffs, for the most part, you lose. Okay. So I don't know why everybody needs to see. Well, I don't know, man. I need to see him come back from 21. Nobody does. Nobody does. Okay. Sure. Cite 28-3 to me all you want. Cite
Also,
the
the
Houston
point
Oilers game.
the point total increases every time. Like first it was like, okay, has Kyle come back from 3 points? Then it became
Right.
4. It's like it keeps increasing
Yeah.
every single time. So the next
Right.
graphic they show when Kyle Shanahan is down in the fourth quarter is going to be like 5+ points, 7
Yeah.
points, whatever.
I want to see him come back from this amount of points. Nobody does. And please don't cite the 4, 5, 6 times that it's happened out of the 300 times that that there have been playoff games. And usually when you're in down double digits, you lose. Yeah, sure. Cite 28-3 to me. Cite the Houston Oilers. Cite the New York Giants. Cool. There's far less instances of it than there are. I don't understand what's so hard to understand about that in terms of, oh, I need to see him come back from 21. If you go down 21 in a playoff game, you lose. You lose because, fun fact, Steph, in the playoffs, better teams play. You're not
Oh,
playing the Atlanta Falcons with Arthur Smith and Desmond Ritter. You're probably playing a very good team if you're in the playoffs. I don't understand that whole double digit thing. No, nobody wins when it comes to double digits. And please don't cite the 4, 5, 6 instances where somebody did, because those are not the rules, the exceptions. But Kyle Shanahan gets that monkey off his back. But Steph, my goodness, man, I have some things that a little bit worried me in this game. Going into the half, that whole time management sequence with 3 timeouts
oh,
to set
that.
up a kick. Yeah, to set up a kick. And ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. That's why you don't play for the field goal. By the way, if that kick wasn't blocked, It was heading to the tunnel. Ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. That's why you don't do that. I don't understand. I you know, for all the things that we say about Kyle Shanahan and the trust that he has in Brock Purdy, um, it just feels like at that moment he didn't have any trust in anything. And I don't get that part. Another thing, Debo Samuel leaving the game shouldn't make you completely freeze up. Like you can hand the football off to Christian McCaffrey, throw the ball to George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. I don't understand why. All right, here's what I'll say. I understand because you've been practicing all week. You've been practicing everything. You know the way that you have. You game plan. You got your install. But once Debo leaves, you turn into the water boy coach, the one like he can't even like call plays anymore because they stole your green notebook. I don't understand. Um, it's just I understand focusing on Debo Samuel because he's so important. But when Debo leaves, you cannot just like lose all semblance of the game. I don't understand that part. And then the first play out of the half, handoff to Jawan Jennings. Now, off the wristband, whatever. It was a mistake. It's on you, Kyle. You can't let that happen. You cannot let that happen, not in a divisional game, right? What am I supposed to take from this? I mean, you know that I love Kyle. You know that I think he's the best coach for a while and everything. But what is it about when Debo Samuel leaves that this man just freezes up, it feels like?
I mean, I don't know if he froze up. I mean, I would just say I think it's clear that Debo was a big part of the game plan and what the 49ers were going to do that day. And yeah, that's hard to adjust to. I think I would have liked to see more Christian McCaffrey involvement early, and especially when Debo Samuel went down, I would have liked to see a little more of McCaffrey. But for whatever reason, that didn't happen. And, Kyle Shanahan could have and should have probably called a timeout when he saw Jawan Jennings about about to get that snap and get that carry. And maybe they could have called something else, or maybe they could have, worked in different personnel. I'm not sure. I mean, it's pretty clear that there's not maybe the only other guy that can replicate what Debo does is Christian McCaffrey on this team. So yeah, that's why I would have wanted to see more of him early. But I don't know. I don't know what all goes into that. I mean, I think it'd be tough for any team to lose a player who is a big part of the game plan in a game. I think also there were some throws for Brock Purdy to make before the half that were just misses. Was that the one where Ray McLeod was it that drive where Raymond McLeod ran like the wrong? He didn't run
It
the
was a
wrong route,
miscommunication.
but it was like a miss. Yeah, yeah. Was it on that drive?
I think so. I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
And that was on third down, if I'm also not mistaken. Um, so that was there. Oh, Ray said was at the end of the game, was it?
Yeah, I don't think it was that drive. It wasn't the last drive though.
Okay, okay. It was before.
Yeah,
It was after the half, though. Okay.
yeah.
But there were some plays there. I know like KP cut up one of the all 22 clips from one of them where he probably could have had Brandon Ayuk open. I personally thought that was a tough throw to make over two defenders. But it's Kyle had the plays. It's like whether or not they're executed or not. But the timing thing, I don't know. That seemed weird. Like it it seemed like they were taking their sweet ass time because again, like Kyle didn't want to give the ball back to the Packers. But then at the very end, it was like, oh shit, we're running out of time. Let's go, and like scrambling to try to make something happen. And obviously at that point, you couldn't really make anything happen. But yeah, here's a clip from KP. He probably had Brandon Ayuk. But in the heat of the moment, like I think that's tough. You see the two linebackers moving back as Purdy's looking at Ayuk, so that's probably why he thought that wasn't a good throw. Of course, after he checks down to Christian McCaffrey, Ayuk looks wide open. But in milliseconds could look differently. And also, I don't think you really need to take a big risk there. So I understand that play from Purdy's perspective, taking the check down. But in any case, like I think the criticism on Kyle Shanahan is fair because this is something we've seen from Kyle like all the time, and it's usually in like big games like this, and I feel like it's in games where he respects who's on the other side. Like he's kind
Mhm,
of scared about what that other coach on the other side is cooking in
mhm.
his mind, and he sees the game as like a big chess match, and he has to outsmart his opponent, which is the head coach on the other side, or the play caller on the other side. So yeah, I would like Kyle to get, I guess, like be a little more aggressive in those moments and have a little more confidence in his team. Like I think they could have scored on that drive, and it sucks because you always look to double dip on the points. They had the ball coming out of the half. They didn't do shit after the half, so like you lost that opportunity. In addition to missing the or getting the kick blocked before the half, so that was an opportunity to run away with some momentum, and they couldn't capitalize. And I think a lot of it had to do with the time management and all that.
Yeah, and again, look, Kyle won the game. They won at the end of the game. They did something that they needed to do. This is just pointing out objectively what happened in the game. That's all.
Yeah,
Um,
and this isn't complaining, by the way, because I see a comment saying complaining about elite coach is funny. This isn't complaining. It's just like fair
uh,
criticism. I think we're allowed
it's
to give
we
fair criticism on anyone. It's
and
not complaining. I love Kyle.
and how do you tell the story of this game um without talking about what happened at the end of the second in the end of the second quarter going into the second half while the team was still trying to find their footing?
I guess
Like,
we just gotta ignore that stuff, or we're
I
complaining.
mean, just talk about the good stuff only, right? I guess. All right.
Yeah.
Um, look, it doesn't matter how you get it done again. Like that's going to be the theme of this entire show. Get it done, right? And the 49ers did. But I do have a question to ask. The Green Bay Packers have a very good offensive line, but I expected a little bit more of a pass rush with 2 weeks and the fact that Chase Young was going to be starting with Eric Armstead back. Everything's going to happen. There's something that I want to ask, and if I'm wrong, say, Jay, you're tripping. But the Chase Young thing in this game, I, I sometimes don't see the effort at times. Um, I'm not talking about the get off like for pass block for pass rushing, but other times like I'm watching him and I'm just like I'm not seeing anything. Am I tripping?
No, I'm glad you said this because I feel like I've been saying it for the last couple weeks, and kind of like quietly, or just like am I, yeah, kind of the same thing like you just did. Am I seeing, like, is this right? Have you guys noticed this too? And I feel like I'm getting gaslit because everyone's like, no, like he's getting the pressures, he's just not getting the sacks, but he's making this impact, this and that. For one, he's, I don't want to say it, but he setting the edge is not his strong suit, and we saw it a couple of times in this game. And yeah, I think there's some left to be desired, especially when you had a couple weeks off, and because I was kind of chalking up the ineffectiveness prior to not having enough rest. Like his bye week was kind of short when he joined the team. Like that was pretty much the only bye week he had this season, but it wasn't like a full bye week for him. So I was like, okay, maybe he's tired. We know how Nick Bosa looked before the 49ers bye week and how he looked after that. So I was kind of optimistic. I was optimistic for Chase Young to come out and be really explosive in this game. He had a couple plays. Like I don't want to say he was terrible the entire game, but I think we expected a little bit more. At least I know I did. And you bring up the fact the Packers have a good offensive line. Like, yeah, that's true. But guess what? The Lions have an even better
Oh
offensive
yeah.
line, and
Uh-huh.
I fear it's going to be another game where we see the pass rush not really get home and not really make an impact in this game.
Yeah. They are missing their right guard, I believe. Jackson, their all world center, Ragnow, is a little bit banged up, but Penesul's a dog too as well. But yeah, the Lions have a pretty good line. I would say when they're healthy, the best in the league. When I was going through and doing the voting for all pro, all NFL, NFC, all that stuff, I found myself putting down a bunch of Lions as opposed to, putting putting Kelsey or Lane Johnson. Like I went, but it's it's gonna be interesting to see this week, right? The other good thing is that Goff doesn't really move as much. That helps, but I still would like to see more. I still would like to see more. You have to credit also the Green Bay Packers. You have to credit their game plan. That's one thing we I think we haven't done this entire time. While we've been talking about the 49ers is not just it's crediting the Green Bay Packers. They're gonna be good for a while.
Mhm.
And regardless of that, Jordan Love won a playoff game. Matt LaFleur's a good coach. They got some dogs on defense. Yeah, I mean, you still have to give them credit. The guys on the other side get paid too. So as much as you want to say whatever you want to say about how the 49ers played, I think it's important we give credit to the Green Bay Packers because they had a very good game plan and they have good players and they played well. So that's the thing is at this level right here in the playoffs, you're probably facing a really good team, right? Odds are. Bad teams don't make the NFC Championship. Bad teams don't make the AFC Championship or the divisional round. Like you're going to be running into teams that are playing well, and some are hot. And the Green Bay Packers were hot, and for much of this game, for about 3 quarters, they remained that way. Um, Luckily for the 49ers, they got turnovers, they got stops, and they scored. And that's what good teams do. Like when it's time, go.
Yeah, I want to talk about the turnovers and the stops because I think that that came up huge, and I do give a lot of credit to the Packers and in my shows the last few days definitely have been. I think they surprised me and the 49ers as well. In hindsight, I think I was a little disrespectful to the Packers this week because I was like, the 49ers going to blow them out and all,
Oh, me too.
all this stuff. But, respect to them, respect to Jordan Love. I really like him. I really like the offense they're putting together. Now, back to the stops. Jordan Love on the Packers last or first six possessions, he was 15 for 22, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions at that time, rating of 120.3. Last four possessions, he was 6 for 12, 30 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, rating of 16.7. That is all. I got to give credit to the defense right there.
Yeah,
I got to give credit to
yeah.
Steve Wilkes. And going into halftime, surprisingly, I know it felt really grim for the 49ers at halftime, but surprisingly, the stats for both of those team stats were very close to each other. So it was a pretty evenly matched game to that point, even though it didn't really feel like it. And I was saying, like, whatever team comes out of this halftime and makes the better adjustments on defense, that's probably who's going to win this game. And I think it was Steve Wilkes, quite frankly. And I got to give credit to a couple of guys on this defense who showed out, I think, all game. Diamador Lenore allowed just 2 catches for 8 yards, a lot of passer rating of just 47.9 in his coverage. He's a dog in the playoffs. In the playoffs, he's allowed just a 19.6 passer rating. He's been a
Yeah,
dog.
yeah.
And he got turned up in the first half when he had that play where he pushed Jordan Love out of bounds. It was a legal hit. He didn't hit him
It
out of
was.
bounds. He hit him
He was
inbounds.
in grass. Yep.
But of course, Packers players didn't really like that, and it got him heated. And he had a really nice sequence after that to help the 49ers get a stop. I also have to give credit, of course, to none other than Dre Greenlaw, who had not one but 2 interceptions in this game, the game sealing one, of course.
Mhm,
We're going to forget about the fact that, he was running around like a madman after that second one and he gave us all a heart
mhm,
attack. But credit to him for holding on to it and coming through, coming in clutch. I think it was huge. That's one of the things that I don't think people are talking about enough in this game. That
mhm,
all game we're like, what's going on with the defense? Like, especially in the first half, right? Bend don't break. That is the MO of this entire defense, and they tighten things up
mhm.
in the second half. You watch any of these games this season, that's how it's been. And it played out that way again against the Packers.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at it, Mooney has the PBU on the first drive. They're going right down the field. Was a little suspicious of Logan Ryan playing over Tig. That was a little bit weird. Um, and then the Ambry Thomas thing, I think we should talk about. We've been we've been pretty effusive with our praise for him. But it's very clear that what the Packers were doing was, and it wasn't like a one-on-one thing, right? Like it's not like, for instance, if they had, they have a number one receiver and they're just like, well, we're going to him no matter where we go. It's whoever is over on Ambry, whoever is on that
Mhm.
side. Is it Dobbs? Is it Watson? Is it Reed? Is it Bo Melton? We're gonna go at him, and you have to suspect that that's going to continue because Demo's been playing so well. Ward is playing so well. So that is something I do want to point out on the Packers' final drive. Um, the Packers' final drive, they literally run that motion with Dobbs to the left, right to Ambry's side. They throw a pass, and obviously Ambry's trying to keep everything in front of him because they're trying to not give up the field goal, but it ends up being like a 9-10 yard gain. The very next play, Dre Greenlaw sinks underneath and gets in the right spot, like right in the way. So like you have to feel like the 49ers were accounting for that and saw what was going on. So I think that's something that we're going to see going forward, right? Like there's going to be a little bit more help, right? There's got to be a little bit more shading of that side. The Lions present a very interesting challenge. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds, Sam Laporta. They got weapons. But you got to suspect that they have to have something in place to help Ambry at times if it starts to get to that point where they start just targeting him over and over. Again, this isn't like a Megatron situation where it's like, oh, Megatron's over there, let's just throw it. It's I don't
Mhm.
care who's over there, Dobbs, Reed, Watson, we're gonna throw it, and we're going at him. We're going at him, and then the pass interference. But the other thing about the defense is, I predicted that the 49ers were going to give up 21 points. They did. They did. They gave up 21 points, but I thought they were going to score 38. The thing is this: guys were falling
Yeah.
all over the field. I mean, that can cost you and like end up being the reason that you're not playing the next week. But let's not act like guys were just getting whipped, like getting whipped and whipped and whipped. Like guys were falling. There were good play calls. There was good throws, but guys were falling everywhere. So I I, I don't have as many reservations about this defense. And the thing too is with the running defense, I think again we're not giving credit to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has been on an absolute heater, and he does not go down. And he always just it always felt like every time the 49ers hit him and they had a chance to get him behind the line and they couldn't do anything with those push pull runs, it felt like, oh, we've got him for 3 yards, and then oh, it's 9, it's 10 now. And I think that's just again, I think Aaron Jones is really good. Now the Lions have David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs. So you got to kind of clean that up. But I do
Yeah.
think that the run defense is a little bit more, it's a little bit more, it's a little less concerning because I think Aaron Jones is very good. And I think that we're discounting how good Aaron Jones has been because he gashed up the Packers and he's been doing this the entire stretch run for them. But the Ambry Thomas thing, I think, again, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because you're going to have to either shade him, play a little bit more zone, do something. You can't just leave him alone. I think that's the thing that I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and Kyle Shanahan was asked about like Ambry Thomas and it like if his play was a lack of confidence or awareness. And there was some coach speak answer from Kyle. I don't think he wanted to put too much blame on Ambry. I mean, he did say he needs a little more help. So it's not all on him. And so I think what he is talking about is probably having a little more safety help for him. And maybe they adjust to do that this week. I think Mooney Ward and Lenore are doing a hell of a job that they could probably handle being on an island a little bit better than maybe Ambry Thomas could. And so I think that adjustment this week is going to be really important. The one thing for me though with Ambry Thomas is that it's just baffling. Like the second PI was egregious to me. It was so bad because one, situationally you just can't do that. It was a 3rd and 15, and it gave the Packers 41 yards on a 3rd and 15. Like that was a good drive from the defense up to that point, about to get a stop, and that put the Packers on the 49ers 19-yard line, and they went to score after that. You were in position to make a play on that ball, and he just panicked. And to me, that had nothing to do with having safety help over the top or not. You're there. You are there. It's not like you got beat. You're there and you can make a play on the ball. So to me, that was just bad situational awareness, and he just freaked out. So to me,
Yeah.
that's a concern. And I know you mentioned it's not so much about who the receiver is. It's not like it's a, Effie, he's got to be out there somewhere, Mike
Right.
Evans situation. This is
Right.
a Ambry Thomas situation. This is, oh, Ambry Thomas, we're going to throw no matter who it is on
Right.
him and see if he can make a play. And so far, the only plays that he's made that we've seen are the pass interference. There must have been some adjustments in the second half because, we didn't really see anything too bad out of him after that. And I don't think I saw the Packers really try to target him all that much in the second half. So maybe there were some adjustments there, and hopefully those adjustments also are made against the Lions. But yeah, it's definitely a point of concern. And as far as the run defense goes, that's also a concern because you mentioned Aaron Jones, and yeah, credit to Aaron Jones. Like he's a dude, and he's been playing on a tear right now. But you got two dudes in Detroit who are both playing on a tear right now. Jahmyr Gibbs, who he's just so elusive and he's so
Mm-hmm.
quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's my concern. I think Montgomery, like, he's a bit of a different type of runner, just more of like your typical like back,
Goal
hard to
line.
bring down because he's a big dude.
Yeah.
But I think his skill set matches up well with how the 49ers stop running backs. Like I think they could stop and or limit Montgomery. I'm more concerned about Jahmyr Gibbs in this game, and I'm concerned about the Lions offensive line controlling the line of scrimmage. The 49ers can't let that happen. Eric Armstead, his second week back, I think, Kyle Shanahan also said Eric Armstead feeling good after that first game. So that's good. They're going to need him a little bit more coming up this week. Javon Kinlaw had some good plays there. But we're just talking about Chase Young, and I think he's a guy that teams are going to want to target in the run game and run to his side because he's shown he can't set the edge. So I think that's something we're going to see, and it's going to be up to, I think, linebackers, safeties to come down and make some plays at times. What did you think about Jair Brown, healthy, getting benched for Logan Ryan, who had been starting in his place while Brown was hurt?
Um. Well, I think Kyle Shanahan at times has an issue with vets versus rookies, and I didn't. I'm not like the people that believe that there were so many things wrong with Jair Brown when he was playing that you can't play him. Sure, you have a missed tackle here and there. Felt like that was a team issue, not a Jair Brown issue. But he plays fast. He plays downhill. He actually is around the ball. Sounds like the guy who he'll be running with for the entire time that he's going to be here in San Francisco, like Hufanga. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And I think again, Kyle has an allegiance to vets. See Josh Norman, see this guy, see that guy, right? Like, and we're just like, why is he in the game? It's it's a little bit baffling because I think that there wasn't anything that Tig did that was egregious, right? Like he wasn't like blowing tackle after tackle. He wasn't getting beat and beat and beat. I mean, he got pushed into action against Tampa Bay. He covered Mike Evans at the goal line and stopped him, right? Like from the safety. It's it's all been there. Like he gets the interception and the ball finds him, right? Like he's got a nose for the ball. That's something you can't teach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a little bit baffling. I really didn't understand it. And then when you have the 50-yard run from Aaron Jones, that was an awful angle by Logan Ryan. Like he just flailed and threw himself. It almost looks like when you're playing Madden and you hit the dive button by accident and you're just diving all over the place. Um, but I haven't seen anything from Tig that would make me that worried. I mean, sure, does he have things he needs to clean up? For sure. I mean, but the whole team misses tackles. It's not just him. I just don't understand. I don't understand that one.
I mean, if the worry was Jair Brown missing tackles or being over aggressive and maybe taking a bad angle on someone, we saw Logan Ryan do that. So, like, Jair Brown can make the same mistakes while also learning and at least, have a little more aggression. I almost feel bad because, like, I was actually, when Logan Ryan was starting because Brown was hurt, I said to myself, like, it would not surprise me at all if the 49ers continue to start Logan Ryan in the playoffs, because I think we know, especially when it comes to the defense and the secondary, they like to bring in these like vets late in the season who have all this experience and all that, and they like to play them. And so I was kind of seeing the writing on the wall a little bit, and I was like, it wouldn't surprise me if they wanted that over Brown, because I think they see Brown as a just a risk. And it's not even a risk based on his play, in my opinion. I think it's a risk just the fact that he's a rookie and he's, young, and he's going to make some young player mistakes at times. But he's also, to me, like, the how aggressive he is his strong suit as well. I think he just needs to find that balance, and I think he will. But I mean, another thing with Brown is he was getting interceptions because he's aggressive too. Like, he's there, he makes plays. And so I don't know. I don't think they're gonna make a switch. And based on Kyle Shanahan's comments when he was asked about it, I don't get the sense that Kyle thought it was so bad of a performance from Logan Ryan. So I think they're gonna continue rolling with him. Um, but yeah, it's just interesting decision. I'm gonna need to see more from Ryan, because to me it didn't look like a guy that earned his spot. It just seemed like, oh, because you're a vet, like, you're gonna get this opportunity. It's not
Right.
because of the play or anything like that.
Right, right, and that's the thing. It's like I think there is just a little bit of an allegiance to veteran players. I mean, it's not wrong all the time,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was a little perplexed by that. I'll say that I didn't get that part. One other thing I thought was kind of interesting. Um, this right guard situation. Feliciano has more snaps, but I look up and I'm like, is that Spencer Burford again? Like, what is this? What is this rotation? Is one person playing or not? Did like I don't understand how you can rotate linemen. Like, I don't get it. Like, I look up and I'm like, "Oh, Feliciano's starting. That makes sense. He's a vet." And then I look up and I'm like, "Why is Burford in?" And I'm like, it doesn't there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like, there just isn't, right? And then it's like, you know what's funny? I think it was ten pass blocking snaps for Spencer Burford, and PFF gave him zero point 0 in pass blocking. Like, 0. I don't know if you guys know, but the grading system goes from -2 to +2 on every single play. To net 0 after 0 after 0 on 10 pass blocking plays, I gotta speak with this grader and I gotta watch again because I don't know if that's even possible, man. That is
Man,
how
Burford's grades on PFF, like, it probably, partially deserved, but it also seems like this whoever grades him just thinks he's terrible, and now he can't get out of that hole. But yeah, I think it's interesting. This is now the second year in a row that the 49ers have rotated their
they
right
did it with
guard.
Brunskill. They
And
did it
it's
with Brunskill.
because Spencer Burford, clearly you don't feel confident enough in Spencer Burford, or he would start the entire time and you wouldn't have to do this rotation. If you have two right guards, you have none. I thought Feliciano was playing and has been playing good enough that you just continue rolling with him. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Even when Chris Forrester, the offensive line coach, was asked about it before this game, and he said that they would, or he alluded to them continuing to rotate, it didn't seem like there was a good reason why. Like, oh, we want to go with the hot hand. And eventually you would think that one guy would, I guess, separate himself, but I guess that just hasn't happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and it happened last year with the same guy, with Burford and Brunskill. That's what's funny
Exactly.
about it. It's
That's an
just
issue. That probably tells you you probably need someone else.
and at least last year we could have understood it because Kyle said he's a rookie. I want to make sure that he doesn't get overwhelmed. Okay, but now it's your second year. Like,
hmm
enough. If you're gonna play, you're gonna play. If you're not, you're not. Just thought that was interesting too because when I like go through and I write my article about the offensive grades and snaps, I was like, I knew I wasn't tripping, and I knew I saw Spencer Burford there, like playing again, and I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get this one. But hey, regardless of all that and everything that we've kind of talked about, the 49ers won, but this felt like such a strange game. Everything was strange. Like nothing felt right. Like almost from the moment it started. It just felt like something was weird. And you start to get that sinking feeling as the game goes on. But the 49ers find a way to win the game, man. And I think that's all you can ask for at this point. And I don't want to hear about them coming back from 31 or 24 or whatever number you want to make up. I don't care anymore. I don't care. They won a game that was rainy. They won a game without Debo. They won a game that Brock wasn't good. They won a game that Brock had to win with a game-winning drive. I don't care. Don't care. The last drive wipes it all out. I'd rather almost lose than almost win, especially in the playoffs. So that's all I got, stuff. I'm just tired of it. And stop watching idiots on TV, the national media and all that stuff, and stop giving them attention. I mean, again, you can't let everybody get you mad. Just because people say things doesn't mean you have to pay attention to them. Just because they have a platform doesn't mean you need to listen to their opinion. Just because they have an opinion doesn't mean you need to value it. So
Could.
stop listening to idiots and letting them get you riled up. I don't watch Skip Bayless to get informed. I watch him to get all red in the face and everything. And like you're not gonna learn anything from those guys. You may learn something from Sherm. Shout out to Uncle Sherm. You may learn something from a few guys, but there's no reason to watch any of that stuff. And then go seek it out and then get upset when they say idiotic things. It's a little bit on you now at this point because you don't have to watch. I would say unplug the cable box and do not give any of that any attention. Gammon says Adam Peters wanted a lineman, but Kyle Shanahan wanted his running back instead. Whew. I hope that kid from Michigan is going back to school because if not, Kyle's gonna go crazy trying to get that kid. What's his name? Donovan.
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, yeah. Oh no.
Donovan Edwards.
Seriously, can we talk a little about the special team? Moody
Jay's
made the
favorite.
kick. Moody made the kick. Mitch was good. Mitch was real good. Um, I have a question. Jake Moody, the leg, can't kick the ball out of the end zone.
I mean,
Why are
hasn't
we
he
having
done it?
returns?
He's done
Why?
it
Yeah,
before.
but why can't you consistently do it? Okay. Um.
Rob thinks that Kyle tells them not to, which I don't know
All right.
why you would do that, but he's
Yeah.
done it before, so I think if he
Yeah.
could, he would, and if he would, or if they wanted to, he would. So I don't know, but the coverage is not good.
So
Please stop. Yeah,
stop
please
kicking the
stop
ball to
doing
people.
that.
Please
Please
stop
stop.
doing that. The kid, Nixon is an All-Pro returner. I voted for him. Kick the ball out of the end zone. This isn't about Jake Moody. It's about the kicker position as a whole. It's incredibly frustrating. And then ask the Packers if they like kickers. I mean, Matt LaFleur said, "I have to pray every time this guy goes out there to kick." That's insane. That's an actual quote. That's not one of those onion headlines from Bleacher Report or anything like that.
He was mad. They
But
said it on the broadcast too.
hey, and then he had to walk it back. But
Yeah.
kick the ball out of the end zone every single time. Stop, man. I mean, all you do is kick. If you can't do this, not sure what we need you for. Okay. Well, that's my kicker rant. But hey, San Francisco
Well,
49ers have a game on Sunday, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific time. And they'll find out who they're going to be playing because the AFC Championship is at 12:30 Pacific time, 3:30 Eastern time. Lamar Jackson's the only thing that can help us at this point. I need the Kansas City Chiefs out of here. I just
yeah, I
need them
know.
off
This
the.
like
I need them off the
get them
TV.
out.
I need them out of here. I need the TV. I need them off my TV. All of them. Every single one of them. Oh God, Lamar, help us, Lamar. But anyway, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the Gold Standard Podcast Network wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you follow Steph on Twitter at Steph49K. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at JasonAponte2103. Make sure that you guys are enjoying this week and not giving idiots attention in the national media. Just don't listen to it all. And yes, save us, Lamar Jackson. Please save us. For Steph, for Jay, we're out of here.
Peace.